There's something honestly ridiculous happening in the car industry right now. For years, automakers have been trying to convince us of one simple idea. The more touchscreens a car has and the fewer physical buttons it keeps, the more modern, more premium, and somehow more futuristic it looks. But now, heading into 2026, they're starting to discover a pretty embarrassing truth. Just imagine this for a second. You're driving through heavy downtown traffic, trying to stay focused, and you have to tap through a screen 3 different times just to lower the AC by 1 degree. Does that actually sound smart or just incredibly distracting? And that's exactly why we need to talk about the Hyundai Tucson 2026. This facelift doesn't try to impress people with flashy gimmicks or turn the cabin into a giant tablet on wheels. Instead, it does something much smarter. It fixes mistakes. Hyundai finally seems to understand something drivers have been complaining about for years. Technology doesn't automatically make the experience better. And honestly, after spending real time with this car, I'm starting to think true luxury today isn't about having more screens. It's about owning a car that doesn't force you to fight with it every single day. Now, if you look at the Tucson 2026 from the outside, some people are definitely going to say, wait, doesn't this basically look the same? And honestly, they're not wrong. Hyundai was extremely conservative with the redesign. The aggressive parametric grille is still here, the hidden LED lighting signature is still here, and that futuristic, almost spaceship-like styling remains instantly recognizable. They only cleaned up the front bumper slightly to make the whole thing look a little sharper and more refined. But you know why they didn't completely redesign it? Because even in 2026, this thing still looks like it skipped a generation ahead compared to most of the segment. The design was already ahead of its time from day one. And Hyundai understands one very important rule. When a design still turns heads out on the street, don't destroy it just for the sake of pretending something changed. But step inside, because this is where the real revolution starts. This is where Hyundai shows they actually listened to real users. That old glossy touch control panel, the one that collected fingerprints like a crime scene 5 seconds after cleaning it, is completely gone now. In its place, we get dual 12.3-inch curved displays that look cleaner, more elegant, and genuinely premium. Visually, the cabin now feels surprisingly close to what you'd expect from luxury German SUVs. But honestly, the thing I love most isn't even the screens. It's what sits underneath them. The physical buttons are officially back. Yes, real buttons with real feedback and an actual tactile click. Buttons you can operate by instinct without taking your eyes off the road. Buttons that react instantly instead of forcing you to dig through endless menus just to adjust the temperature. Sounds old school, right? And yet, in real-world daily use, it's infinitely better. Honestly, it's kind of hilarious. In 2026, we're celebrating features that were completely normal 10 years ago. But that also proves Hyundai understands something important. The Tucson is meant to be a car you actually live with every day, not a rolling tech showcase built to impress people online. And speaking of everyday usability, there's another smart change here that a lot of people are going to appreciate. The traditional gear shifter on the center console is completely gone. Instead, Hyundai moved it behind the steering wheel, similar to what Mercedes-Benz and the new Santa Fe are doing. At first, I'll admit, it feels a little strange. For the first few miles, your hand still reaches toward the center console out of pure habit, but very quickly, the logic behind it starts making perfect sense. Because now, the center console feels incredibly open and spacious. Suddenly, you have room for your phone, wallet, keys, coffee, and all the random stuff people normally throw into their cars without everything getting in the way. And this is exactly the kind of change that never looks impressive inside a showroom, but becomes something you genuinely appreciate every single morning during your daily commute. When it comes to powertrains, the Tucson 2026 still keeps one of its biggest strengths:
Variety. Gas engines, mild hybrids, full hybrids, and plug-in hybrids. Hyundai is still giving customers plenty of choices, and honestly, that's becoming pretty rare these days. While many automakers are rushing to eliminate traditional engines because of the EV craze, Hyundai still understands that not everybody is ready to structure their life around charging. They respect the fact that different customers have different needs. But more importantly, what really stands out here is the refinement on the road. The cabin feels quieter than before, the suspension feels more composed, and the entire car feels calmer and more refined at highway speeds. This SUV never tries too hard to pretend it's some aggressive performance machine or fake sports SUV. Instead, it focuses on making driving feel easy, comfortable, and relaxing. This is the kind of SUV where you can spend 2 hours on the highway, step out afterward, and still feel fresh instead of mentally exhausted. And honestly, in this segment, that's what real value actually looks like. Honestly, the automotive industry is entering a really interesting phase right now. After years of competing over who has the biggest screens, the most complicated interfaces, or the most minimalist interiors, people are starting to get tired of it. Drivers are beginning to appreciate the basics again: comfort, ergonomics, ease of use, and technology that actually helps instead of constantly demanding attention. And honestly, I feel like Hyundai noticed this shift earlier than most competitors. While many brands keep removing physical buttons, mainly to reduce production costs, then marketing it as minimalism, Hyundai decided to go in the opposite direction, making the car easier to use. And I genuinely believe that decision will help the Tucson age far better than a lot of trendy tech gimmicks we're seeing today. Because maybe true luxury in 2026 isn't about having 20 screens or a cockpit that looks like a spaceship. Maybe real luxury is a car that feels smooth, intuitive, understands the driver, and doesn't make you fight through touchscreen menus just to change the climate control while driving. And that is exactly what the Tucson 2026 delivers. It's not trying to reinvent the automobile. It's simply trying to do the important, everyday things better. And honestly, it does that far better than I expected. But what about you guys? Are you on team physical buttons, or do you still love giant touchscreen displays? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video on DriveNomics.